Americans are committed to celebrating America 250, even if their Democratic leaders are trying to rain on the parade. After Massachusetts decided to boycott the Great American State Fair, one determined Bay State resident decided to show up and man the Commonwealth's booth all by herself. And she's not the only one standing up to the less than celebratory left. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Compagno, here with my co-hosts, Kayleigh McEnany and Harris Faulkner. And also joining us today, Lisa Booth, Fox News political analyst, and Trace Gallagher, anchor of Fox News at Night and chief breaking news correspondent. Now, that Massachusetts woman told Fox News that she wasn't going to let the governor stifle her state pride. Watch.
Actually, shameful. It makes me feel like they really don't love America or even Massachusetts, my governor. I think it really actually unites the country because most people are upset about it and do not understand why a governor would do that. And so that actually is uniting people. Democrats, Republicans, Independents are agreeing that every state should be proud of our country.
Indeed. Now, Massachusetts, though, isn't the only state opting out of the event. 10 states did not send official delegations. All but one of those states, Vermont, have Democrat governors. And more Democrats are facing pushback for how they have handled this amazing holiday. We reported yesterday about Buffalo flying the Somali flag above City Hall for Somali Independence Day. The city is now investigating after someone took that flag down in the middle of the night. Critics are calling out Democrats for hoisting a foreign flag in the first place, especially after canceling the traditional American Independence Day fireworks show. The New York State Republican Party chair pointing out this, quote, "The decision to cancel fireworks for our nation's 250th birthday while simultaneously raising the Somali flag has everything to do with that and nothing to do with logistics." And this morning, many New Yorkers were outraged after Democratic Socialist Mayor Mamdani said this about America.
America, in their view, is an arena of supremacy, where only a select few are allowed freedom. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry, while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans. Division is the oldest trick in politics and the cheapest. But time and again, including 250 years ago, those forces of division have been vanquished by the forces of progress.
3, 2, count the cash.
Trace, what a frankly disheartening at a minimum, but up to really horrifying commentary to make ahead of our nation's 250th Independence Day celebration.
And I think he's misreading the room. I mean, I had a long conversation with a friend of mine who's a Democrat who does not like President Trump, but makes it very clear that he does very much love this country. And that's kind of where they're missing the boat here, because he says this whole concept of, okay, we have to hate on the country to make it really evident that we don't like the president and we are against everything. And that's not the case. And what Mamdani is doing here is trying to say that this country is not good enough. He's trying to say that instead of everybody getting the same opportunities, he wants everybody to get the same outcome. And that's the wrong way to approach this. It really is. And so I think we as a country need to look at the woman in Massachusetts who said, hey, this is not about not decorating our booth down at the Great State Fair. This is about coming together as a country. If you want to stand and fight and make the country better, stand and fight. But don't bash America as a way of thinking that this is the way that we can really achieve our power and what we want to achieve. They're going farther and farther and farther left, and the hate keeps going up, up, and up. And it is disappointing, even to Democrats.
And what a shame, Kayleigh, that it's the constituents, the public, that has to remind our elected officials to be proud of your state and proud of your country, regardless of which party is in charge.
That's right. And we need more John Fettermans calling out this socialism and fewer Mamdanis in elected office. That's the first time I had seen those comments when you played them, Emily. And it makes me angry. It makes me angry to see someone who took advantage of the American dream, who's a recipient of it. Mamdani and his family came to this country, and he is now mayor of the greatest city in our country, the biggest, the beacon of freedom. We have the Statue of Liberty right behind us. And the fact that the mayor of this city, where the Statue of Liberty stands, fails to understand liberty, fails to understand that this is a beacon of freedom, that when the world didn't have a place where you could celebrate being free from an autocrat or a king, the great founders of our country came together and in this grand experiment created the greatest, this is on the National Mall, Emily. I'm sorry to interrupt what I was saying, but they wanted us to point this out. And while we're talking about the National Mall, perfect segue here, on the National Mall is the America 250 marketplace, where you have all of these different states who have come together, 11 of whom decided not to celebrate. 10 of those are Democratic states. But when I say we need more Fettermans and fewer Mamdanis, John Fetterman came together with Dave McCormick. Dave McCormick is a Republican. John Fetterman is a Democrat. And together, here's what they did. When their governor, when their state said, we're going to leave our temp empty, the Republicans and the Democrats came together and with private sector created what you're seeing on your screen. U.S. Steel came up and put a penny machine in there that prints U.S. Steel on it. The private sector, the Republican Party, and the Democratic Party came together to create this. But we need more John Fettermans. We are at a crossroads, and we have to be clear-eyed about that. There are about 2 senators I can name who are calling out the Mamdanis of the world, one half so. There are 13 House Democrats. We need patriotic Democrats to stand up and say, no, we are the party of FDR. We are the party of JFK. And while I may disagree with FDR ideologically, we all love America. We need patriotic Democrats saying, we are going to stand up for America and against socialism.
You know, Harris, Trace earlier said, you know, Mamdani seems to be sort of misreading the room. He said missing the boat. And as we sit here in front of the Statue of Liberty, in front of Ellis Island, where so many of our families came over on boats, my stories of my grandparents passed down through my father explaining what that was like, a ship on 2 weeks to get to the land of opportunity. The whole world was in front of them because where they came from was an island that was brought to ruin and starvation thanks to the Italian government. Well, this is that land of opportunity that now our mayor is calling an arena of supremacy.
Well, he's not my mayor. I wouldn't have had him. But that's what the city behind us voted for. This is the Jersey side where I live. So, you know, a couple of things there. The history has taught us that your family, all these families who came through that way, they were clear-eyed, Emily, about what didn't work. They were fleeing actual oppressive governments and socialism and communism, and they were trying to get away at a time when it felt like the only way anybody wanted to solve anything was through violence. And what have we seen tick up? Political violence in this country. I say this time and time again, this is our moment not to become what so many people left. People still want to come here. They still see us as the bastion of light and freedom, and they're right about that. But it's not free. And it's not without all of our dedication to remember what it takes. A strong U.S. military, good policies. Look, I don't know exactly what the impetus is for dividing us for Zohran Mamdani. I would imagine the list is long. It's about power. It's about money. It's about a whole host of things. What it also is about is if he had better ideas, he'd be giving them. He's giving us ideas that have been proven that they don't work. Socialism easing into communism. And this is one heck of a flyover of the National Mall. And if it's on time, because I have a whole list here, and from where we sit, it's hard to tell what's what. But there is a huge formation over the mall right now. U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds are expected. The U.S. Air Force Tri-Bomber is expected to close it out, and NASA's F-5. So we saw a lot of this last hour. And as we ease into this noon hour Eastern, I just want us to be prepared to be amazed, because our military is just that amazing.
Indeed. And, you know, both of our fathers served in our great military. And the point was, regardless of commander-in-chief and party in charge,
that's right,
they served under one flag for all of us Americans. So why can't these communists, why can't they just be the American worth fighting for, like all of us strive to be?
Because they've lived in places where their one flag wasn't enough.
Lisa, today's Aviation Day of the America 250, so we will continue to bring you coverage of those incredible flyovers. I'm wearing my B2 pin. Earlier today, I posted on my Instagram flying a T-34 when I was 15 years old. pretty incredible. This is that opportunity that we are talking about celebrating and honoring today in America.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I just want to nerd out for a moment. This is such a humbling and amazing moment right now to be on set with you guys, working for Fox News. I know how much we love our viewers. I know how much our viewers love America. Sitting here with the backdrop of the Statue of Liberty, New York City behind us on the eve, the day before America's 250th birthday. What an honor to be here. Ronald Reagan said that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We have a duty and an obligation as Americans to be good stewards of that freedom and that freedom and liberty that so many men and women have fought for, who have laid down their lives for, to keep America free in the pursuit of freedom. So I find it so selfish to not celebrate America's 250th birthday, to not love this country as a result of that. Think about all the things that we have survived as a nation. Civil War, world wars, pandemics, the Great Depression, the list goes on. And we are still standing here as a country, the greatest country in the world. And you look at that recent Gallup polling on patriotism. Patriotism at a record low in America, a 56% gap between Republicans and Democrats. And mind you, even under Joe Biden, Republicans still led on patriotism in this country. You have Democrats driving that down. And the last thing I'll add, I think it's a result of two things happening in America. One, you've got 15% of the population are foreign-born. Granted, we've got a lot of great people who have come here, who love America, who want to assimilate. But unfortunately, you've got a lot of people who haven't. And you've got a lot of children of those people who have it. And I can point to Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City, Ilhan Omar, member of Congress, originally from Somalia, who hold beliefs that are hostile towards American. And then the other aspect of that you have is these liberal elite kids who have been indoctrinated in schools and taught to hate America. So now, facing 250th birthday, we have an obligation to keep that freedom moving forward, and we got to fight for it.
And we will. And today we are celebrating along with all of you at home that we know takes this Independence Day celebration so seriously and acutely, because this is our sacred land. And we are broadcasting to you live from in front of the Statue of Liberty at Liberty State Park here in New York.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.